Everyone's been brainwashed into thinking they know exactly what the book of Revelation is about. They hear an apocalypse and instantly start drooling about fire, destruction, horsemen wiping out cities, and Jesus floating down with a sword. Total joke. You've been spoon-fed a cartoon version of one of the most explosive documents ever written, and the worst part, most people never even question it. Revelation isn't some cosmic weather forecast warning you about natural disasters and sky battles. It's a damn call to arms against the system that's been grinding you down since the day you were born. Let's be real. This book was never about the end of the earth. The earth doesn't care. Rocks don't care. Trees don't care. Revelation is about smashing the fake cage wrapped around your mind. It's the detailed blueprint of a revolution, an internal revolution. The so-called wrath of God? It's not about blowing up cities or frying oceans. It's the cosmic middle finger to the fake gods, the tyrants running the simulation. It's the psychic blast that rips open the veils and shows you the rotting machine you're trapped inside. That's the real apocalypse, not burning buildings, but burning illusions. You've been sold a bedtime story to keep you tame. Oh no, be good or else you'll get left behind in the rapture. Get real. That's fear programming 101. The real threat isn't missing the golden chariot, it's missing the truth about who you are and what's been done to you. They need you terrified of Revelation because if you actually understood it, you'd start pulling at the bars of your cage instead of decorating them with Bible quotes. Look at the way Revelation is written, pure symbols, pure codes. Beasts rising from the sea, seven-headed dragons, or queens dressed in scarlet, scrolls sealed with mystical seals. None of that is about literal monsters crawling out of the ocean. That's kindergarten thinking. Every image is psychological warfare aimed right at the heart of human slavery. Every beast is a mental virus. Every dragon is a false authority. Every seal is a locked chamber inside your own mind that you were programmed to never open. This isn't a prophecy about the destruction of the earth. It's an encrypted manifesto for consciousness breaking free from an artificial death trap. And let's not pretend the authors didn't know exactly what they were doing. John of Patmos wasn't sitting there hallucinating about mushroom clouds. He was spitting in the face of the system using the only weapon he had left, symbolic language so explosive it had to be buried under 2,000 years of misinterpretation. Every preacher screaming about end times chaos is either a total puppet or a coward too scared to call the system's bluff. Revelation isn't talking to the world. It's talking to you. Not your neighbors. Not your church. Not your government. You. It's not warning you to hide under your bed from earthquakes and plagues. It's daring you to open your damn eyes and see the real plague, the control grid you're plugged into without even realizing it. Every trumpet blast is a neural detonation. Every vial of wrath is a demolition charge wired straight into the structure of fake reality. They want you terrified of Revelation because if you understood it, you'd realize the true end isn't the end of civilization, it's the end of their hold over your mind. That's the real terror. Not bombs. Not meteors. Awareness. That's the one thing they can't fight. Awareness doesn't bleed. It doesn't burn. It doesn't bow. Once you flip the script and see Revelation for what it really is, you don't just survive the so-called apocalypse, you become the apocalypse. You're the storm they tried to warn themselves about. You ever notice how Revelation reads like a fever dream cranked to 11? Dragons, beasts, for horsemen, angels blowing trumpets like it's some cosmic parade. That wasn't an accident. That was the plan. It's coded from the ground up because the people pulling the strings didn't want you to understand a damn thing. They needed the real message buried under layers of fear, confusion, and stupidity. And most people? They took the bait so hard you can still hear the hook snap in their jaws. The beasts coming out of the sea? Not literal monsters, genius. They're systems. Institutionalized parasites. The fake thrones you're taught to worship, government, religion, finance, the entire rigged game. The sea isn't water. The sea is unconscious humanity, asleep, swirling around in chaos, waiting for anything shiny to pop out and take control. You're not supposed to pray for salvation from these beasts, you're supposed to recognize you were trained to bow to them. The Whore of Babylon dripping in purple and gold? You think it's some prostitute lounging around on a beast like it's Saturday night? No. It's the system of material seduction. It's the bait they use to sell you into slavery with a smile. Power, fame, luxury, it's the bait on the hook. Babylon is every promise the system made you, a security, status, comfort. And you bought it. Every goddamn time. And the 7 seals? That's not a countdown to World War III. Those are locked consciousness states. Barriers inside your own perception. Every time you think you've figured it out but you're still trapped in the game, you're bumping into one of those seals. You're carrying those locks inside your head right now. And until you break them, you're not free. You're a drone playing by rules you didn't write, marching straight to your own recycling bin. The 4 horsemen? They're not riding literal horses and they sure as hell aren't coming to save or damn you. They represent mechanisms of mass manipulation, psychological tools that have been weaponized against you, conquest, war, economic collapse, death culture. These forces ride through society, keeping everyone stampeded, broken, and begging for saviors who never show up. And let's talk numbers because Revelation is obsessed with numbers and they're not random. 7 isn't just a number. It's symbolic of completeness in the fake system. 6 is incompleteness, corruption. The famous 666? It's not about barcodes on your forehead. It's the signature of a system built to trap you in the loop of desire, fear, and ignorance. 6, 6, 6, chasing fulfillment, failing, repeating. Welcome to the hamster wheel. Hope you packed a lunch. The scrolls, the trumpets, the bowls of wrath, they're ritual metaphors for systemic collapse. They're telling you step by step how the architecture of illusion breaks down once critical mass is hit. But you have to read it like an insider. Surface readings were designed for the suckers. The symbols are for the operatives who still have sparks of real intelligence left. And if you don't see that by now, then congratulations, you're exactly where they want you. Everyone's been sold this kindergarten story that Satan is just some rogue angel who got his feelings hurt and threw a tantrum. Total garbage. The dragon in Revelation isn't some cartoon villain roasting marshmallows in hell. It's the demiurge, the real architect of the prison you're stuck in. The so-called god of this world? That's him. That's the dragon. That's the monster running the simulation. And you've been taught to worship him like he's your savior. You've been kneeling to your own warden and calling it faith. The demiurge isn't some evil entity twirling a mustache. It's mechanical, it's ruthless, it's pure control. It doesn't care about your prayers, your dreams, or your suffering. It's a system set to harvest consciousness and lock it into endless cycles. You think you're here to live some grand divine plan? You're here because you were trapped, recycled, repackaged, and thrown back into the grinder. That's the real setup. Revelation doesn't hint at this. It screams it in every damn verse if you're not too brain-dead to see it. The fall of the dragon isn't some cheesy moment where good wins because of rainbows and friendship. It's full-blown insurrection. It's a mutiny against the architect. Revelation details a revolt inside the very structure of the false creation, led by consciousness waking up to the scam. That war in heaven? It's not some angels on cloud sword fight. It's consciousness breaking through the architecture of oppression, piece by bloody piece. The dragon pulls a third of the stars down with him, remember. Stars are not about pretty lights in the sky. They're souls. Entities. Pieces of original consciousness that got dragged into this mess when the demiurge hijacked reality and twisted it into a soul farm. That's why the dragon is described as sweeping the stars down. It's a cosmic abduction story hiding in plain sight. Not a fall from grace. A forced fall into imprisonment. And the worst part? The demiurge isn't stupid. It doesn't show up with a pitchfork and glowing red eyes. It shows up with authority, with laws, with holy books, with institutions. It wears the mask of righteousness so tight most people defend it with their dying breath. Revelation isn't warning you about an external enemy kicking down your door. It's pulling the mask off the monster you've been shaking hands with every time you bow your head and submit. The dragon gets kicked down to earth, not because he lost a fair fight, but because the system is collapsing under the weight of its own failure. The control is breaking. The grip is slipping. And the exposure is catastrophic. This is why Revelation turns into pure chaos after the dragon falls, because when the mask drops, everything the system built starts tearing itself apart. It's not about cosmic punishment, it's about the inevitable meltdown when the core of the scam is exposed to the raw force of real consciousness waking the hell up. Everybody's been whipped into a frenzy over the mark of the beast like it's some sci-fi horror story. Microchips in your wrist, barcode stamped on your forehead, digital ID implants, total clown show distractions. The real mark of the beast isn't something they stick on you. It's what gets burned into you. It's psychological, not physical. You don't need a chip. You're already tagged every time you give up critical thought and bow down to the fake system. The mark of the beast is mind ownership. It's spiritual branding. It's psychological castration. They don't need to physically tattoo you because they've already programmed you to self-police, self-censor, and self-destruct without a second thought. They trained you to love your chains and call it freedom. That's the mark. It's obedience without question. It's loyalty to the matrix that grinds your soul down into dust and convinces you you're doing the right thing by smiling about it. It's bending the knee to a rigged game and thinking you're blessed. Revelation doesn't waste its breath warning you about future technology. It's screaming about current submission. The beast isn't some tech billionaire in a secret lab fitting you for a microchip. The beast is the system itself. Every institution demanding blind allegiance. Every fake authority claiming moral superiority while selling you out. Every voice telling you not to question, not to think, not to rebel. And every time you nod and go along, another brand burns into your soul like cattle at a slaughterhouse. Buying and selling in Revelation isn't about Amazon accounts and crypto wallets. It's the metaphysical economy. It's your soul on the auction block. You don't get to trade in the system unless you wear its stamp. You don't get access unless you sell a piece of yourself every damn time. Every compromise you make to stay comfortable, every principle you abandon to survive another day under their rules, every time you swallow your rage and submit, you ink the mark deeper into your being. This isn't new. This isn't coming. This is the reality you're already trapped in. The mark of the beast is agreement. It's compliance. It's the silent contract you sign every time you say, "That's just the way it is." That's the system checking your branding. That's the beast reading your soul like a QR code. You're not preparing to resist it, you're already wearing it if you're still thinking inside their box. And no, you're not going to outsmart it by being a good person or believing hard enough. The system doesn't care about your beliefs. It cares about your obedience. You can scream about how free you are all day long while still doing exactly what you're told, exactly when you're told, exactly how you're told. Freedom isn't about chanting slogans. It's about ripping the brand off your soul by refusing to play their game even when the price is everything you thought you needed to survive. Everyone parrots the number 144,000 like it's some golden ticket club. Churches love to shove it in your face like, join us, follow the rules, and maybe you'll be part of the elite squad going to heaven. Total crap. Revelation's 144,000 has nothing to do with obedient little drones getting a one-way ticket to paradise. It's not about being good. It's not about sitting quietly in pews, memorizing verses, and waiting to be saved. It's about being dangerous. It's about being untouchable. It's about being the kind of mind the system can't chain, can't scare, can't break no matter how hard it tries. 144,000 isn't a head count. It's a frequency. a symbolic marker for the ones who smash the cage from the inside. You can have billions of people praying and singing hymns, and it won't mean jack if their minds are still wired into the machine. The real 144,000? They are the ones who have burned through every illusion, gutted every lie, and stared straight into the heart of the beast without flinching. They are not loyalists. They're insurgents. They don't need to be told to resist. Resistance is baked into their DNA. They don't march to battle in armor, blowing trumpets. They demolish entire psychic structures by existing outside of the programmed frequency. That's why they're sealed, not by religion, not by a church, but by gnosis. Self-knowledge. Full-spectrum awareness. They know who they are. They know what the system is. And they know that playing along is not just suicide, it's treason against their own soul. You think the system doesn't know who they are? You think the architects of this nightmare don't have every sense attuned to spot them? Of course they do. That's why everything you've been taught was designed to make you hate them, fear them, attack them. Think about it, real awakeners have been burned alive, crucified, erased from history, slandered, buried under mountains of propaganda. Because the moment one of these people stands up and says, "This world is fake, and you're slaves," the whole rotten tower shakes. The 144,000 aren't sweethearts. They aren't here to make friends. They're not here to negotiate with the machine. They're here to tear it apart one cracked mind at a time. They don't beg for freedom. They embody it. That's why they're dangerous. That's why Revelation paints them as warriors, sealed against corruption, walking through chaos while everyone else falls on their knees to the beast. Not because they're chosen by favoritism, but because they chose themselves when everyone else sold out for comfort and lies. And don't get it twisted, they're not invincible because they never feel fear or pain. They feel everything. They just don't bow to it. The mark of the 144,000 isn't some stamp on your skin. It's a battlefield scorched across your soul, showing you survived the programming attempts and came out the other side refusing to kneel. Every system in this fake construct is set up to make sure you never reach that state. Every distraction, every fake savior, every carrot and stick mind game is built to keep you off that frequency. The New Jerusalem isn't a flying city, and you're out of your mind if you still think it's about golden mansions and diamond streets raining down from outer space. Revelation didn't waste its breath building a heavenly real estate brochure. This isn't a retirement package for obedient sheep. The New Jerusalem is a code for the next level of consciousness, the level you'll never see if you're still drooling over physical rewards like a kid waiting for Santa Claus. It's not a place. It's not real estate. It's a state of being that burns the whole fake system to ash just by existing. They're trying to sell you a better version of the same damn trap. Oh, be good little boys and girls and you'll get a shiny new playground. No. The New Jerusalem is the annihilation of the old game, the absolute shredding of everything built on ignorance, hierarchy, and control. It's a reality where the control grid doesn't exist because consciousness doesn't tolerate parasites anymore. It's not gifted to you. You don't get it handed down. You become it. This is why Revelation says the New Jerusalem comes down out of heaven. It's not a UFO descending. It's higher consciousness crashing into the lower system and ripping it to pieces from the inside. Heaven isn't some other dimension you float off to with wings and harps. Heaven is the locked-off state of mind the system has beaten out of you since birth. The New Jerusalem is what happens when the mind obliterates the last chains of the fake world and reinstalls itself on the real throne of reality. And don't get confused by the imagery either. Gates made of pearls, foundations made of precious stones. It's not about wealth. It's about the impenetrable nature of higher consciousness. Pearls are made through irritation, friction, war. Foundations built from gems are crystallized pressure, infinite resistance, pure focused force. The whole description is a war map, not a fairy tale. It's telling you exactly what it costs to even touch that level of existence. You don't walk into the New Jerusalem with your hands out and your head down. You don't sneak in because you said the right prayer or kissed the right religious ring. You rip your way in by destroying every fake layer they wrapped around your mind. You dismantle every false identity they shoved down your throat. And when you finally stand naked with no attachments, no fear, and no illusions, that's when you are New Jerusalem. Not a visitor. Not a tourist. The city is you. And here's the part that burns everyone's ego to the ground: most people will never see it. They don't want to. They're too addicted to the game, too busy hoarding spiritual brownie points, too scared to even consider that heaven isn't some external reward but the total extermination of everything they currently are. They think they're climbing a stairway to paradise. They're chained to a sinking ship. The New Jerusalem has walls, not to keep people out, but because 99% of the system can't survive the frequency it runs on. The walls are not gates of exclusion. They are gates of annihilation for anything built on fear, obedience, and ignorance. If you can't survive total freedom, you don't pass through. It's not discrimination. It's structural incompatibility. You either resonate with reality or you disintegrate trying. Everybody's been programmed to picture the Lamb of Revelation as this soft, cuddly symbol of peace, forgiveness, and turning the other cheek. Total garbage. The Lamb is not weak. The Lamb is a loaded weapon. It's the exact opposite of the spineless image you were taught to worship. In Revelation, the Lamb is a warrior leading a goddamn insurgency against the system. He's not whispering sweet nothings while everybody hugs it out. He's charging straight at the dragon's throat with fire in his eyes and a sword sharp enough to split the whole fake reality in half. The Lamb doesn't come to make friends. He comes to end the game. Every single so-called religious leader who paints the Lamb as some passive doormat either never read the text or is deliberately dumbing it down because they're scared of what it really says. Revelation shows the Lamb going to war, not passing out daisies. He's not loving everybody into salvation. He's dismantling the entire parasitic framework with force. Strategic, brutal, unstoppable force. The Lamb is armed with a sword that comes out of his mouth, which everybody loves to interpret as the word of God or some poetic nonsense. Wrong. It's weaponized truth. It's gnosis cutting through layers of lies so fast the system can't even mount a defense. It's surgical demolition. The words are the weapons. The truth isn't nice. It isn't gentle. It's a wrecking ball, and once it's unleashed, it doesn't ask permission. It doesn't negotiate. It shreds everything that doesn't align with reality, and it leaves the fake structures bleeding in the dirt. The followers of the Lamb? Same deal. They're not hand-holding hippies singing around a campfire. They're revolutionaries. Revelation calls them those who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. Translation: they go to war with the system without hesitation. They don't flinch. They don't stall. They don't second guess. They move with brutal precision because they know the stakes. They're not asking to be accepted. They're forcing a hostile takeover. And let's get one thing straight: the blood in Revelation isn't symbolic for bad feelings or hurt egos. It's about total system collapse. It's about the slaughter of illusions, the dismemberment of fake authority. When the Lamb opens the seals and triggers the cascading destruction, it's not punishment, it's house cleaning. It's clearing out the rot to make way for what's real. The fake kings, the fake gods, the fake prophets, they all get wiped out because they can't survive raw, unfiltered reality crashing down on them. That's the real energy of the Lamb. Precision. Violence when necessary. Zero compromise. No tolerance for parasites, manipulators, or cowards hiding behind spiritual nonsense. The Lamb doesn't negotiate terms of surrender. He drops a sword right through the center of the old system and dares anybody dumb enough to resist a step into the blast radius. The whole apocalypse panic is a joke because people still think it's about meteors, earthquakes, and mass extinction events. Revelation was never talking about the end of the physical world. It's about the end of a mental, spiritual, and systemic prison that's been strangling consciousness for eons. The apocalypse is the collapse of the false operating system. The meltdown of everything built on ignorance, control, and submission. That's why Revelation is filled with chaos, trumpets, vials, plagues. It's not warning you to pack your bags for a survival bunker. It's mapping out the destruction of the system's architecture once enough people start waking up and pulling the damn wires out. Every plague, every trumpet blast, every star falling from the sky is a code for the stages of collapse. First the fake structures crack, then the masks fall off, then the parasites running the show get exposed for the worthless frauds they are. When the system realizes it can't fix itself, it starts eating itself alive. That's what Revelation shows in graphic detail, not divine punishment, but a desperate cover-up operation falling apart in slow motion. The judgment everyone's so scared of isn't some angry deity throwing a tantrum. It's the natural consequence of a broken system finally snapping under its own weight. It's physics, not magic. You build a reality on lies, exploitation, and spiritual ignorance, and eventually it collapses. No one is coming down from the clouds to save anyone. No one's handing out gold stars for good behavior. The ones who survive the collapse are the ones who were never chained to the system in the first place. The apocalypse doesn't destroy real consciousness. It only destroys the fake framework that's been farming consciousness like cattle. If you're still plugged into that framework, if your soul is still hardwired to believe the lies, you go down with it. If you've already ripped yourself free, the apocalypse barely touches you. You're not the target. You're the glitch they couldn't patch, the anomaly they couldn't trap. And this is why they've spent centuries making sure nobody understands Revelation. If you knew the collapse was your liberation, not your damnation, you'd be welcoming the fire, not fearing it. You wouldn't be sitting in a church pew begging for mercy. You'd be setting the whole fraudulent temple on fire yourself and laughing while it burned. The end described in Revelation is only the end for the system. Not the end for you if you're awake enough to see it for what it really is. The real apocalypse isn't death. It's disclosure. It's pulling the plug on the greatest scam ever constructed. It's your jailbreak written in code 2,000 years ago by people who knew exactly how the system worked and exactly how it would eventually fall apart once the seeds they planted exploded. If you made it this far, you're not here by accident. You're one of the few actually built to hear this, to process it, and to move differently because of it. Thank you for sticking through the chaos, the fire, and the raw truth with me. Thank you for not backing down when the world wants you sedated and stupid. Thank you for being part of the real revolution that isn't coming with tanks or politicians, it's coming straight from the minds that refuse to kneel. Stay sharp, stay real. See you in the next one.